Hello there. Thank you so much for joining us. This is News Channel Nebraska. My name's Eric McKay. Let's take a look at our top headlines today. One person has died after a 4th of July car and motorcycle collision in York County. Sheriff's officials say it happened along Highway 34 Thursday evening, about 4 miles east of York. No details on the wreck itself have been released, but the crash shut down the highway in both directions for 2 miles for about 2.5 hours. The drivers involved have yet to be identified. Update to a story from earlier this week. A suspected carjacker in southeast Nebraska has been found in Oklahoma. The vehicle was stolen from this gas station in Tecumseh on Monday. Johnson County authorities say Danger Caballero was arrested in Oklahoma. Sheriff's officials say Caballero was picked up by a Tecumseh resident near a broken down vehicle early Monday, but sheriff's officials say Caballero pulled out a gun and stole the Good Samaritan's vehicle before fleeing the scene. The vehicle that was broken down also reported stolen out of Missouri. A man who'd escaped from the Lincoln Regional Center back in custody after an Independence Day chase straight out of an action movie. 47-year-old Justin Darrow was arrested in southeast Nebraska on Thursday. The Nebraska State Patrol says Darrow, who'd been missing since Tuesday, was located at a residence in the Butler County town of Ulysses. Authorities tell us Darrow fled in a vehicle southbound, eventually stopping near a railroad crossing south of Highway 34. The patrol tells us Darrow then climbed onto a stopped coal train and began running on top of the train cars. A trooper used a beanbag round to stop Darrow. He was arrested on top of the train. In weather news, Beryl moving across the Yucatan Peninsula. Forecasters say it could slam into southern Texas or northern Mexico in the coming days. Other U.S. states could see impacts from Beryl this holiday weekend. Amy Kiley has more on how it's affecting U.S. weather and vice versa.
Everything is gone. Everything you can think about is gone.
Beryl isn't likely to do damage in the U.S. like it did in the Caribbean.
One shed there, another one there, and a lot of water coming inside. The rooftop blew off. The houses down there so blew off.
But forecasters say Beryl will affect U.S. weather over the next few days and vice versa. They think it will weaken as it hits the Yucatan Peninsula today. Sometime after that, Beryl could strike southern Texas or northern Mexico. The storm also could make it dangerous for vacationers in states along the Gulf of Mexico.
For all of this holiday weekend, there will be significant rip current risk all the way from Florida all the way down to Mexico.
The Gulf Coast also could see stormy weather and flooding.
That heavy rainfall will be right on top of where we've already seen heavy rainfall from the tropical storm a couple of weeks ago.
In some other states, the impact actually goes the other way. Forecasters say a high-pressure system is behind the heat advisories for parts of the southeast and east coast today. If it sticks around, they say, that could push Beryl away from the region.
We have to evacuate. All I have to do is just put all my stuff in this little black trailer here and haul it out of here, and we're just waiting.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Closer to home, a river in southeast Nebraska running a little higher thanks to recent rain and runoff. Doug Kennedy has the latest.
It's nothing like what's been happening in the Missouri River Basin, where major rainfall upstream has brought that river to very high levels. But on the Big Blue River in Beatrice, the river has been running above its normal level somewhat. The river was at 10.5 feet in the city of Beatrice at the West Court Street Bridge. As of midday Friday, it's expected to kind of hold there. 18 feet is the flood stage, so a lot of room left for the river to come up. But the river has risen about 7 feet over the past 24-hour period. That's roughly from midnight on the 3rd to midnight on July 5th. More rain is expected over the weekend. There's not huge chances, but it all depends on where it falls, upstream or downstream, as to who's going to see flooding on the Big Blue River. From Beatrice, Doug Kennedy for News Channel Nebraska.
Good news on the Missouri River. It's continuing to drop below flood levels in eastern Nebraska. Officials with Omaha's riverfront said Thursday that parts of Lewis and Clark Landing are back open. Flooding along the Missouri had forced the Urban Beach, the Riverfront Plaza, the Marina, and the Bob Carey pedestrian bridge to close 2 weeks ago. The Missouri officially dropped below flood levels in Omaha on Wednesday. Residents from Brownville south along the river still dealing with moderate flooding, but forecasts have the Missouri returning to normal sometime over the weekend. Now, when it comes to moisture in Nebraska, it's been an all or nothing proposition. Seems like we've either got drought conditions or standing water, and that's reflected in a remarkable statistic in Nebraska's largest city. According to the National Weather Service, Omaha has received 22.59 inches of precipitation this year as of Wednesday. That's more than what Douglas County saw the entirety of 2022. Omaha's about 6.5 inches above normal precipitation for this time of year. Haven't broken any records yet, though. The most precipitation ever recorded by July 3rd, over 29 inches, way back in 1881. Weather officials, meanwhile, releasing data from Monday's severe storms. The National Weather Service says 2 tornadoes briefly touched down in central Nebraska, neither extreme enough to warrant an EF scale rating. The first tornado touched down Monday night near Beaver City. The second touched down about an hour later, about 10 miles southwest of Minden. The storms didn't do much damage. They did spawn 3 tornado warnings and several thunderstorm warnings. A rare incurable virus has been detected in a horse in northeast Nebraska. The Nebraska Department of Agriculture says a case of equine infectious anemia has been confirmed in a horse in Colfax County. It's the first case seen in Nebraska in 11 years. EIA spread through blood-to-blood contact, often by insects like horseflies and deer flies. State officials say horses at the premises have been quarantined and are being monitored by staff and local veterinarians. Well, it was supposed to eliminate property taxes, income taxes, and corporate taxes across the state. But as we told you earlier this week, that so-called Epic Tax Plan failed to make the November ballot. But is the plan going away? Joe Jordan takes a closer look.
As we've been reporting, a major effort to turn the state's tax system upside down, the so-called Epic Tax Plan, has failed, unable to come up with the necessary 123,000 valid signatures on a statewide petition drive that would then have put the issue on the November ballot and let the voters decide. So where do the Epic folks go from here? And how does all this affect Governor Jim Pillen's plan to call a special session of the legislature later this month, a special tax-cutting session of the legislature? Well, those are questions that don't come with any easy answers. All this dating back to an exclusive report by News Channel Nebraska earlier this year, noting the likelihood that the Epic statewide petition drive was likely to come up short.
And I said, okay.
That's March, and Epic leader State Senator Steve Erdman respectfully declining to tell NCN how many signatures they had and if he was confident the petition drive would be successful.
We understand that it's going to take paid circulators.
And how much do you think you're going to have to raise to pay those paid circulators?
Well, I would think it's going to be over $1 million.
But according to state campaign finance reports examined exclusively by NCN, at the end of February, the Epic folks had raised $150,000, spent $95,000, and had just over $55,000 cash on hand. Trailblazing canvassers, the petition circulators, had been paid $36,000 last year. By comparison, successful petition drives, like the one pushing voter ID a few years ago, spent nearly $2 million, much of that going to paid circulators. So what is the next move for the Epic folks? Well, they tell us they're not going away and are studying all their options. But in just a few weeks, Governor Pillen is calling those lawmakers back to Lincoln for that special tax-cutting session of the legislature, looking to keep his promise to cut property taxes by 40%, which will require a very tough-to-find 33 votes in the legislature. So will the Epic folks back Pillen? Will Senator Erdman specifically get behind Jim Pillen? Well, know this, Governor Pillen was an opponent of the Epic Plan, and he made his opposition no secret. In Omaha, Joe Jordan, News Channel, Nebraska.
And one advantage to this year's fireworks season around the 4th of July was that conditions were wetter than usual, with periodic rain falling in recent weeks. Beatrice Fire and Rescue Chief Brian Dakey noted that after several years with few major incidents, fireworks did play a role in a Sunday night fire that destroyed a camper and did significant damage to a couple of adjacent homes.
The state fire marshal investigator determined that was fireworks that started, I believe it was underneath the camper, caught the camper on fire, and then the fire spread from the camper. In the last 30 years, anywhere from 1 to 5 fire-related calls. Very seldom are they're structures. Unfortunately, this year it was. And then the year with the Salvation Army, that was the floating lanterns that caused that, and those have since been banned by the state.
There have been no reports of serious injuries in the Beatrice area related to the fireworks this holiday period. Fireworks sales appear to be booming the past 6 days in the city. Wednesday night at Beatrice High School, a public fireworks display was provided going into the 4th of July holiday. You can stay up to date with the very latest by following us online. Head to newschannelnebraska.com and click on the News tab there. You can also follow us on X, like us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend. You're watching News Channel Nebraska.